I knew entrepreneurship meant I was going to work really hard. I was going to have late nights. I was going to be going through really challenging problems and having to find solutions for them. But the one thing that no one told me before, and here's the thing, I was so ready for that. Like I was so excited for that. I'm like, I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to grow something amazing. What people will tell you is that the harder you work and the more that you hustle, the more work comes from that, and the more pressure comes from that, and the more you are needed comes from that. This is Unearthed with Shelly Hughes. I'm Shelly Hughes. In this podcast, we talk about the good and bad and the ugly of entrepreneurship. We talk about the wins, the losses, lessons learned, and celebrations about building a profitable and passionate brand. And in today's episode, I really want to talk about entrepreneurship and you know, something that's really has been really challenging for me, just learning about and trying to grapple with. It's really the emotional cost of growth and the deeper challenge of really me choosing presence over productivity. I naturally am a workaholic. However, when I turn off, I turn off. I do not like to mix family and business really ever. And it's amazing how much entrepreneurship tests your personal boundaries, especially when you start to see success because it's so addicting. Entrepreneurship is addicting. And I used to think that I could do everything, I could do it all, and I could do it all at once, right? So much so that, as many people know, I launched my business and found out I was pregnant within the same week. Something about entrepreneurship and being really, intentional with my time and my family. My office is on my property. We converted a barn on my property to be my home office. And it's a Friday afternoon. It's 5:14 p.m. on a Friday, and I'm still working. And I see my son is playing with the hose right outside the window and is spraying the hose on the window. So that's fun. So that's just an example of how I'm really combining work and life. I found out I was pregnant the same week I launched the business. I took a 1 week maternity leave with my first kid, who is now 4. And I was the kind of person that I was on Zoom calls for client meetings. Clients didn't even really know I was pregnant for the most part because we were also back in COVID. So a lot of it was over Zoom. A lot of the conversations and consultations were over Zoom. And I would literally have this like Boppy nursing pillow with my son nursing and me just like taking meetings from essentially the neck up. People not even knowing I was nursing my son and he was napping on me. I cannot say that that was in any way healthy, but I remember it was a tipping point where, something was going wrong with tech and I was on a chat with someone to help me fix it. And my son was crying and I freaked out and I said, that's it. I'm not working anymore when I have my kids. It's simply not worth it. But what's so amazing and how I'm kind of like figuring out this work-life balance thing, and I had a great conversation with Gina Lizzo, I was on her podcast, is, I am setting up my life so I can quickly switch from one to the other, right? My office is in my backyard. I went up to have lunch with my kids today because they were home with dad. I don't think that was really possible before COVID. So, and a lot of times I'm really thankful for that time. I want to talk about how I balance both because if I could work 18 hours a day, I would. I absolutely would. But it is amazing when, my husband's home on Fridays, he's home with both boys, and I go back for lunch and he's just like, oh my God, I can't handle these 2 kids. I so badly just want to stop work and hang out with him. And honestly, typically I do. Other things I do to really try to turn my brain off is I turn off, Slack notifications except for if someone asks me when I'm not supposed to be working. I don't encourage my team to work after hours. So I kind of really try to model that. And here's the thing, my baby's still little. So I intentionally spend time with him when, in the mornings when my husband goes to the gym. So the baby and I have like solo time while Tucker is at preschool and my husband's at the gym, and that's really intentional time. I do try to take Friday afternoons off, but here I am. It's not always planned to take Friday afternoons off. And this was just the time where I wanted to get back in the office. Everyone was good at home or up at the house. I see everyone running around in the yard right now. I know everyone's good. So I decided to work a little bit more today. Other thing I really try to do to keep those boundaries is I go to a lot of networking events, but I really try not to go to networking events in the evenings because I want to make sure I'm there from when my kid gets home from school. It's around 5 o'clock or so, and I want to make sure I can take him to his t-ball practice. I want to make sure I can make him his afternoon lunch or afternoon snack, when he gets after school snack. That's really important to me. I really want to make sure I I'm there for bedtime. That's also extremely important to me. So it's very rare that I'll go to like a gala event or something that's really goes into the night. I also really give myself permission to rest and say no. You know, I luckily I am in control of my schedule. I truly am. So if I'm putting myself under a lot of pressure, it's because I'm putting myself under a lot of pressure. No one else really is. So I really do give myself permission to say no. And I think it's really easy to measure success over reach or revenue or just what your metrics look like. But to me, especially at this point in my life, success to me means that the people on my team feel supported and I'm able to pick up my kid when he's sick from school. No questions asked. And it's funny because I was on a really important meeting prepping for a very large pitch. I was working on a very large pitch for a very, very large motor vehicle company with a brand that I am partnering with. And I was as I was on the call prepping this pitch with this other brand partner, I got a call from my son's school and they said he was sick. So I switched over to my phone, I got ready, I was still talking, I was strategizing with this person all the way to the school and things like that. I was getting my poor kid out all on the phone, right? Terrible mom move. And I was like, sorry, I really have to go. But in that conversation, the person I was talking to said, why are you the default parent? Why didn't they call your husband? And at the time, I was like, you know what? I'm a woman. They always call mom. My husband's and she's like, why doesn't your husband go pick him up? It's like, you know what? It is because I set up my life so that I could be there for my kid when he needed me. And sometimes my husband has to remind me of that when, we might not have hit a revenue goal for a month and I'm kind of down about myself and I'm annoyed. My husband is obviously, my biggest cheerleader. He always has to remind me of, Shelly, we didn't start this business for you to make $10 million. We started this business so that you could love what you do. You could grow something that you felt really passionate about and you could be here for our family when they need us, when they need me the most, especially when they're young. And he reminds me of that. And I have to be reminded of it because I think that's so important, because that is why I started the business. I started the business so I could live out the life I wanted to now and not wait until retirement and not miss. I think it's so, your kids are only small for so long. And I just feel so grateful that I am able to stop work in a few minutes right after this, to spend really intentional time with them. So, yeah, hardest part of entrepreneurship for me is really being prepared to work my ass off. And then me realizing that me working my ass off will get me further, for sure. But that's not how I want to live my life right now. One day it will be. One day it'll get me to $10 million. But for right now, it's not worth it. What I need to do is make sure my clients are happy, my clients are seeing success, my employees are happy, my employees are seeing success, and my kids, my family are happy, and they're seeing a mom that is present and there for them, because that's what matters. So, guys, thank you, appreciate it. I apologize about my kids spraying the hose on the window and distracting me, and my husband calling me, telling me I have to stop work. But I'm going to stop work now and enjoy the weekend. If you like this episode, please rate and review. Share it with a friend that you think would benefit from this chaotic episode. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks.